Madam, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. A very good afternoon to you, sir.
Right, I just wanted to
Good
check
afternoon, sir. Bilkul
are
ठीक
you
हुआ।
the season like
Thank you so much.
you are in brief,
Afternoon,
madam,
ma'am.
I believe.
Namaste. Ma'am, I'm Dr. Padmavatama, Dean of Horticulture, ma'am.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
to
Good
meet
afternoon.
you,
It's
ma'am.
nice meeting you, ma'am. And
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm very blessed, actually to be in your company and to know Vice Chancellor, sir. It's like looking forward to this program, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. You too. Madam, good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you, sir?
Padmavathan, madam. Dr. Padmavathan, madam.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Surendran Reddy.
My greetings to you, sir.
Madam, good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, all.
I'm Alka Jain, ma'am, from
Good
RLBCA.
afternoon, madam.
Ma'am, is my volume okay? Like, I hope it's not too loud. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay, madam. I think you need to. I think you need to. I think you need to. You need to.
Hello. Yeah.
Madam, some of our university officers also joined, ma'am. I request Dr. Suryakumari to introduce herself.
Yes.
Dr. Dhananjay Garu. Unmute. Unmute.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you, sir?
Fine,
Hi.
thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, madam. I'm
Good
Dr.
afternoon.
Surya Kumari.
Good
Dean of
afternoon, ma'am. Good
Medicine.
afternoon. Thank you so much for having me there in the program, ma'am. So it's a pleasure knowing all of you, ma'am. I think I'll be meeting all of you for the first time on virtual mode.
Yes. We are eager to hear you. Yes.
I'll try and do my best, ma'am. Actually, I'm still a learner, I think.
No.
And, grateful for the opportunity, but yes, I'm excited myself, ma'am. So have you been to
The students.
RLBCAU anytime, ma'am?
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Have you ever been to RLBCAU, ma'am?
No, not yet. We have to. No.
Okay. Yes.
We'll make it, ma'am.
Definitely, ma'am.
We'll make
No,
it.
ma'am, you should visit. I think it'll be a pleasure for us, and we'll get to actually interact with all of you.
You are also welcome to our university, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I surely will. Like, I'll come someday, ma'am.
Madam, just 2-3 minutes, ma'am. Our VC sir also will join, ma'am.
It's okay, ma'am.
ఒకసారి హలో am I audible, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Pranam, sir.
Okay, madam. Thank you, madam.
అయిందా? అదే యూనివర్సిటీ వీడియో
మినిమం చేయండి మేడం.
యూనివర్సిటీ ఎందుకు యూనివర్సిటీ వీడియో
అంతే కదా మేడం?
ఆ.
యూనివర్సిటీ.
Sir, namaste, sir.
Namaste, madam.
Shall we start, sir?
Yeah, you can start.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Surender.
Madam, shall we start, madam?
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
you can start.
Respected Chief Guest, Dr. T. Janaki Ram Garu, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. YSR Horticulture University, Guests of Honor for the program, Dr. A.S. Padmavatama Garu, Dean of Horticulture, Dr. YSR Horticulture University, Dr. K. Gopal Garu, Associate Dean, College of Horticulture, Anantarajupeta, the resource person, Dr. Alka Jain Garu, Assistant Professor of English, Rani Lakshmi Bai, Central Agriculture University, University officers, Associate Deans of Colleges of Horticulture, Principals of Polytechnic Colleges, teaching staff and students of all other constituent colleges. Very good afternoon and hearty welcome for this program. We have gathered here for the inter-university webinar on non-verbal communication and its role in effective communication. This is the most important topic for the people of all professions. So that is the main importance of this, right? It's not that it is useful only for the students, but not only for professional students, but the people who are in various professions, and this topic is very useful for them, right? I take this opportunity to welcome, I request Dr. Professor Ruth Madam to give a welcome address, in charge Associate Dean, College of Horticulture, Anantarajupeta, instead of Dr. K. Gopal Garu.
Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to everyone present in the meeting. This inter-university webinar is on non-verbal communication and its role in effective communication. I hope everyone knows how important proper communication is, right from students to staff and all the people present around in our society. Even a small word can effectively change communication, and there is a way to communicate even without words. Today, all our honorable guests are here to help us understand the importance of the same to students and staff. I request all the students of Dr. YSR Horticultural University to make use of this webinar to best of their abilities. And now I request Dr. Surendranath Reddy Garu to continue the program.
Words on this occasion. Now I request guest of honor, Dr. A.S. Padmavatama Garu, Dean of Horticulture, Dr. YSR Horticulture University, to share few words on this occasion.
Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor and Chief Guest of today's guest lecture, Dr. T. Janakiram Garu, all the university officers of Dr. YSR Horticulture University, guest speaker and assistant professor from Rani Lakshmibai, Central Agriculture University, Dr. Alka Jain Garu, guest of honor and associate dean, College of Horticulture, Anantrajpet, Dr. Gopal Garu, organizers, associate deans, faculty members, and students of different colleges of Dr. YSR Horticulture University, and faculty and students of Rani Lakshmibai, Central Agriculture University. Very good afternoon to all of you. And today's guest lecture on non-verbal communications and its role in effective communication is an important topic. It's communicating without words. It plays a significant role in our daily lives, and non-verbal communication is nothing but something like body language. And there are several forms of this body language, like morning, immediately if we see somebody, will smile at others after meeting them. There are no words involved in it. And facial expressions like gestures, eye contact, and personal appearance. It all involves other things like sending messages and receiving messages. That is very common nowadays because of smartphones and WhatsApp messages and other messages we are sending and receiving. And waving hand and nodding our head, indicating accepting or refusing something. So knowing the importance of nonverbal communication, we should consider both verbal and nonverbal communication equally while communicating. A better understanding of this communication may lead people to develop strong and good relationship. How to maintain good relation with others, either at home front or at official front, mainly depends on how we communicate with each other or with one another. In the professional life also, while giving a speech or a lecture or a seminar, the success of this depends on mainly on how effectively we use both verbal and non-verbal communication. Using gestures, describing an event or describing a structure of a cell or something like that, or anything. For example, in horticulture, we'll take propagation, how it has to be done, how to make a cut. Without non-verbal communication, we cannot explain clearly. So using only verbal or non-verbal communication will not attract the attention of the audience. So I'm sure with today's guest lecture by Dr. Alka Jain, Assistant Professor, Rani Lakshmibai, Central Agriculture University, all the participants, faculty and students will be benefited, and hoping for several of such lectures like this in future also. And my special thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor for motivating us to organize this lecture, and I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much, sir.
Now I request
Thank you so much.
the chief at the gathering.
Sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good
Yes.
afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, how are you, Alkaji?
I'm good, sir, and I'm very glad to meet you again, sir. So,
Nice to see you.
yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So today I'm really very happy to be part of another good initiative taken by Dr. YSR Horticulture University, the College of Horticulture, Anantrajpet. Dr. YSR Horticulture University is second of its kind in the country. And recently, Dr. YSR Horticulture University is accredited by NAEB, ICAR with A grade. This is because of the commitment, the sincere efforts of our dedicated staff, scientists, teachers, non-teaching staff, the farmers and students. When we are talking about the collaboration, whether it is inter-institutional, inter-university, now even we are talking about the public-private partnership. We cannot work in isolation. So in that direction, Dr. YSR Horticulture University recently have taken many initiatives to collaborate with other organizations, institutions, universities, and we have signed MOUs with ICR institutions, public institutions, private institutions, industries, and in that direction, recently, just few days back, we have launched a network project on moringa improvement at one of our Darsi Horticulture Research Station. And this is first of its kind of collaboration of 3 universities. That is University of Horticultural Sciences, Bagalkot, a premier horticulture university again, and one of the very prestigious university, Tamil Nadu Agriculture University. And today, in the same direction, another stepping stone of organizing this collaborative a talk, guest lecture by an eminent scientist on the role of non-verbal communication in effective communication. I am really very happy that today our senior officer, Dr. Padmavatama Madam, Dean of Horticulture, Dr. Srinivasulu Garu, Registrar, who is present here, Dr. K. Gopal, Associate Dean, and all other scientists, teachers, heads of stations, and heads of KVKs, and the convener of this program, Dr. Surendranath Reddy, who has taken initiative organizing this very important talk. Just recently, when I visited the Rani Lakshmibai Central Agriculture University for All India Vice Chancellors Agriculture Universities conference, I really appreciate the vocabulary and comparing of the program by Dr. Alka Jainji. And just after the program, I just asked her which department you belong. Then she told, I am from the Department of English. So then I thought immediately, why not both, universities, we can take the advantage of your expertise and organize today's lecture. And I am really happy with a very short time this talk is being organized. Of course, when we are talking about the main complex categories of communication, which are verbal and non-verbal communication. For the information of Dr. Jain, that Dr. YSR Horticulture University has taken initiative to establish the English language laboratories in all our 4 colleges. And our students are encouraged to have this laboratories facilities for the preparation of whether it is GRE or TOEFL and even the communication skills. Because nowadays it is not only your academic record. And as per the new education policy, when we are talking about the entrepreneurship, the skill development, and apart from the skill and your entrepreneurship skills, the communication is very much important. And even the private organizations, when they see the holistic, personality, then they also look for the communication skills, effective communication skills. So I think today's this talk definitely enlighten not only our students, staff, so that it will be a better career opportunities for the students especially. So I think our colleagues also previously has said that even the gestures, the body language is also very important these days. It's not only just your apart from the communication. I think that's why there is a saying, even in organizations, when I visited some of, even the foreign university, they write, smile with flowers, say it with flowers. So that reference, and it is a kind of nice gesture. So I think this kind of, non-verbal communication also getting significance. Of course, we can say it is important in expressing our emotions, such as the happiness, satisfaction, the confidence, the eager, and the stressed, sad, etc. And these are almost expressed through different body gestures and face. I think that's what they say whenever we enter into our offices or our organization. Just if you smile, that makes our colleagues or other employees, brings freshness, and also it will connect people in a more effective manner to interact. And also it plays a very important role in communicating the interpersonal relations, and even these communication can establish a trust and a relationships and help determines the person's fidelity also. I think these are the main supporter of verbal interaction. In fact, they supplement each other and give full meaning. I think without taking much time, I think we should hear more to our guest lecturer, the speaker, Dr. Alka Jain ji. I think our students will be benefited, and I once again appreciate our organizers for organizing this very important talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your wonderful message. Now, it is my privilege to give the brief profile of Dr. Alka Jain. Dr. Alka Jain is presently serving as Assistant Professor of English at Rani Lakshmi Bai Central Agriculture University, Jhansi, and she has been there since January 2020. She has completed her graduation from Kolkata, West Bengal, from where she shifted to Jhansi and has been living there for the last 20 years. She has a doctorate in feminine sensibility from MATS University, Raipur, Chhattisgarh. Dr. Alka Jain has published 20 research papers and more than 60 popular articles in national newspapers and magazines like The Hindu, The Free Press Journal, Dainik Jagran, Krishi Jagran, Bharat Darshan, National Book Publications, etc. She writes passionately on socio-economic and environmental issues and maintains a humble YouTube channel dedicated to self-composed verses for social impact. She is a certified IELTS trainer and a constant learner for whom her interaction with the youth is a source of constant motivation. It's a brief profile of Dr. Alka Jain. Now I request her to take over and give a lecture on the topic.
Thank you very, very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. First of all, sir, I would like to offer my humble greetings and pranam to Dr. T. Janaki Ram, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. YSR Horticultural University, for blessing me with such a great opportunity and also entrusting me with the responsibility of delivering a lecture in his gracious presence. And it is an honor, sir, and I shall always remember this moment with joy. I also offer my greetings and namaskar to respected Dr. A.S. Padma Vathamma, Dean of Horticulture, whom I just met. I also, for making me, I'm very thankful to you, ma'am, for making me a part of this program and also providing me the opportunity to deliver a lecture at your esteemed university. I would like to offer my humble regards and greetings to respected Dr. K. Gopal, sir, Associate Dean, Dr. YSR HU, College of Horticulture, Anantharaju, Peta. I offer my humble regards to Dr. T.V. Surendranath Reddy, sir, Assistant Professor of English at YSR University, for inviting me for a lecture and making all the arrangements and for his gracious help to me. My humble regards to all the other office bearers, respected deans, the professors, scientists, respected registrars, the faculty who are present here and who have been involved in the program and have helped me associate with you all so generously. Um, I am also thankful to Honorable Vice Chancellor RLBCAU, Dr. Ashok Kumar Singh, for being my guardian and for blessing me with his support and encouragement. I also want to thank Dr. Manmohan Dobriyal, sir, my Dean, Dean College of Horticulture and Forestry, for granting me permission and support, and also to Dean Agriculture, Dr. S.K. Chaturvedi, sir, for his generous encouragement to this program. Last but not the least, I am delighted, dear students of Horticultural University, YSR Horticultural University, for giving me this amazing chance to talk to you as a human being first and a teacher later. And I desire to hone my communication skills with your wholehearted cooperation and support. So, dear student, the topic that have been given to me today is one which is most openly received by my students at RLBCAU, and I hope that I will be able to learn in the process of this sharing that we are going to have today. So, first of all, I would like to thank everyone for inviting me, and I now request your permission to begin this humble communication with you, sir.
Yes, madam, you can go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Sir, just give me 1 second to share the screen.
You can do so, madam.
Yes, yes. Sir, I would like to share this screen. I hope it is visible to everyone, sir. Ma'am?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So my topic today is how non-verbal communication can make our overall communication effective. And this, I would say, is a very crucial topic in the field of communication, because though language is very important, whether it is Hindi, English, or any other regional language, languages are beautiful and they deserve learning in their own way. But we must realize that communication is only 7% oral and 38% comes from the tone, and the meaning is understood by the tone, and 55% communication depends on the body language and the facial expressions and gestures of the communicator. So it is a very crucial chapter, and without understanding and comprehending non-verbal communication, we cannot move forward and be successful communicators in our life. So I take this opportunity to share with you the little knowledge I have on this subject. Thank you so much once again. And I have compiled this material and I have used several sources that I have mentioned at the end of the PPT. On completion of this chapter, I hope that I will be able to talk about the communicative nature, the function and the characteristics of nonverbal communication. And we will also be able to distinguish between the different kind of verbal messages and understand kinesics, haptics, vocalics, proxemics, chronemics, artifacts, or personal presentation and environment. So these are the topics that we will be covering today through this presentation. And after this presentation, it is expected that the students will be able to understand and identify the steps that they require to make their non-verbal communication effective in their everyday academic as well as professional life. So let us start by talking about what non-verbal communication means. Now, verbal communication deals with the use of words, whether it is written or spoken. So verbal communication needs a language. But non-verbal communication is the process of conveying meaning without the use of words that are either written or spoken. So we can say it is a communication between two people or a group of people and without the use of language. We will first talk about kinesics. Now, kinesics, if we look at the root word kine or kinetic, comes from the word kinesis, which means movement. So just as we have kinetic energy, over here we'll be talking about the energy and the movement of the face, the eyes, the gestures, and the posture, the way we use our arms, our hands, etc. So it means the use of all these things, in which eye is also an important part. Beginning with gestures. Now, all of us have some signature gestures, something which we do unconsciously and as a way of habit. So some of us have the habit of, clicking the pen, or maybe shaking our legs, while sitting, or flipping through something, jotting down something, making some sound with the pen, etc. Sometimes we have, we show behaviors of touching the hair, maybe itching, some part of our face, or fidgeting with our fingers, the ring, etc. So all these come under gestures. Most people you will find that have certain gestures, and if I tell you that, okay, tell me what is the gesture of this particular person, you will definitely be able to come up with one or two. Then there are certain gestures like making a sound from the throat, a coughing sound, or clearing of the throat, etc. The clicking of the tongue, making gestures with your hands, and if you see people talking on the phone, so the phone is in one hand and the gestures are automatically happening, though the person on the phone is not able to see, but the gestures are still there. So this shows how automatic they are. Now, some gestures over the time have become emblems. Emblems means that they have specific meanings that are understood all over the world. For example, this. Now, this is a gesture, but it has universal meaning. It now means, say, thumbs up. It stands for well done. It can mean, okay, go ahead, and so many other things. And similarly, when we say this also has become an emblem. Shows not going well, not okay, something going down. So all these have meanings. In the US, you will see that the thumbs up is also a gesture to stop vehicles. And so these gestures have become used and universally accepted. For example, if we want to stop someone, or if we point to someone, then we use the finger, or if we want to call someone nearer, then we use this gesture of our hand. So these gestures that have become universal and have specific meanings are identified as emblems. Moving on to the next part of kinesics, that is the head movement and the posture. Now, there are 4 basic human postures: standing, sitting, squatting and lying down. And most of our communication happens either in the standing position or while sitting. So the way we sit, the way we stand, the way we walk, the way we lie down, they all communicate something about ourselves. For example, if I am interested in a lecture and if I show respect and want to listen to someone, I will perhaps bend forward, come forward a little bit while talking to the person who is sitting before me. So this shows my willingness and desire to hear and listen to the other person. Whereas if I just bend backwards and hold my hands in front of me and the hands are folded in this way and the fist is closed, and this shows restraint. This shows that I'm not willing to listen. This shows that I'm not interested in lending my ears to the person before me. So this conveys a lot, and we have to work upon our gestures every day and see whether they are communicating the right meaning. Are people judging us in the wrong way? Are our gestures negative? Are they communicating something negative about our personality? So there is a lot of scope of improvement in the way we use our gestures. So coming back to the topic, now you must have seen people, an interesting posture is putting our hands on our hips while standing and talking to someone. Now, unconsciously, and psychologists have also been working a lot on these gestures, it is a sign of domination and assertiveness. It is a sign of upper handedness. So if we want to show respect to someone, and if we are talking to an elderly person or somebody who is senior to us, we will never talk with our hands on our hips. Then sometimes when we are talking to someone standing and the elbow juts out, before our body. So we stand with our hands on the hips and the elbows jutting out. Now this is again a sign of domination, that nobody can go past us. This is a high hand, this is the elbow in front of our body, is a sign of stopping someone, asserting something. So again, this sign is negatively oriented. It shows our domination. It shows our willingness to prevent someone from achieving something. Again, leaning back when someone is talking is a sign of indifference, is a sign of disrespect. So straddling in the chair, like if I'm moving my chair too much while talking, again it is a sign that I'm not interested in the happenings now, and I'm showing indifference to what is going on. So these actions and these gestures are communicated and they are understood by people around us, and because of these actions they form an opinion about us. So why this topic is important, dear all, is that as we said, it makes our communication effective. Now non-verbal cues, the gestures have the power. They can make people understand us in a positive way, and they can make everything negative. No matter how much I praise a person who is sitting before me, but if my body language doesn't show that respect, the person is not going to believe me. So it is very important to maintain the correct non-verbal gestures and to communicate positively, vibrantly, enthusiastically. If we come to the standing posture, dear all, over here we can see different postures. Now one person is swaying. Then over here we see that the chest is coming out and as if he's trying too hard. And over here we see the slump of the shoulder. So this shows insecurity, low self-esteem, etc. And so we require to stand straight. Now this is the perfect posture, the first one, which says good posture. So when the body is in harmony and you can see the imaginary line passing straight through your body, the shoulders straight, not very high, and but alert and straight and dignified. So this is the posture we need to be in the habit of maintaining, and we also need to exercise regularly so that our posture is maintained properly, and because it conveys something about us all the time. This again, the posture over here is a sign of dominance. Now, most of the students, when I ask them to come and give a presentation on stage in class, I have seen that they, because of nervousness, they fold their hands, take it to the back, and they stand all throughout the presentation with their hands folded at the back. And the hands are folded tightly. It's like they are gripping something. So this is a sign of tension and nervousness. But what happens if you take your hands at the back and fold? You will not be able to get a release. It prevents you from opening up to people. It prevents you from giving your full. So instead of keeping your hand at the back and sticking to the posture, you need to bring them in front and use them while you're speaking. So you do not need to take your hands too high, too dramatically here and there all the time, but a little bit. So wherever required, perhaps use your hand, the other hand, and then if you don't have anything, you can just lightly, bring them together, release them, say something, again bring them together. So this is how we should not put our hands all throughout our talk or presentation or public speaking in our pockets. By doing so, again we are restraining ourselves. So the idea is to give ourselves freedom. A free individual is a happy individual. So we need to free our body as well if we want to communicate that to people before us. Now, if you see here, dear all, that these photographs, a picture says 1,000 words. So what I cannot convey, I think the pictures will be conveying over here. The body language of the girl and the boy, or the man or the woman, you can say, indicates something about their relationship. It shows there is some anger, some resentment, some ill feeling. The relationship at this moment is strained. So the picture is worth more than 1,000 words. Over here, we can see these 4 ladies sitting for an interview. The posture they have says a lot about them. This one seems bored, lazy, uninterested. She is dreaming. She is perhaps thoughtless, thinking about something else, not in the present at the moment. And the last person seems to be very alert. Over here, we can see how our sitting postures are, communicate something. Often during meetings and all, we will see people in these various postures. And believe it or not, we read them and we understand them through their postures. Coming to the next part, the very vibrant part of kinesics is eye contact or eye behavior. Now, eye behavior is studied separately as a branch of study called oculesics. So from the word, it is a Latin word oculus. From that we get the word eye. So oculesics is in itself a very vast branch of study of eye behavior. And eyes play, eyes, as we all know, are the windows to the heart of the person. From the eyes, we can understand so much about the person, whether he is happy, whether he is sad, whether he is genuine, whether he is lying. So many things are communicated, from the eyes. And eyes are also used in symphony with verbal communication. For example, if in classroom while I'm teaching and I just ask a question, nobody will answer because I just ask a question and I'm not directing my gaze to someone. But suppose I ask a question and particularly direct my gaze to one particular student sitting, say, in the 3rd row. Now I am asking the question, but my gaze is pointing to one particular student. That student automatically realizes that the question is directed to him without me calling out his name. And the person gets up and replies. Similarly, when we do not want to commit something, we avoid eye contact. Like I have seen in class, and I've often discussed with my students, that when I ask a question, and if some of the students look directly into my eyes and some don't. So the students who do not look into my eyes are doing so that they might avoid my gaze. They think that if the gaze meets, they might have to stand up and answer. So this again communicates something. Now, I'm not saying if you meet the gaze and you actually know the answer, because we can be deceptive. If I meet the gaze and I'm sitting like this also is a sign that I do not know the answer. So psychologists work a lot upon these gestures and all, and I'm just narrating a few examples that I've come to know. Now, from the eye, if somebody is talking and we look into the eye and listen carefully, it shows our focus on the person, and it helps build relationships and trust, and it even expresses our affection. For example, let us look at this mother and child photograph that I've put here. The affection between the two and the chemistry is evident, through their eyes. We can see the love of a mother and child over here. Over here, the doctor, when he treats a patient and looks into the eye, smiles and gazes at him, it makes all the difference. It makes all the difference, and it develops trust in the relationship. Over here, a meeting is going on, but we can see that the participants are not looking at the speaker. So what is going to register and how much they are paying attention is up to us to understand. Now, one more a common thing that we do nowadays is use a mobile phone even when someone is talking, giving a lecture, addressing us, which is actually a very rude thing to do, and it openly indicates that we are not paying attention to the person before us. So students, I will say that this is something that we should not make a habit of, and use this phone only as a tool to communicate. But if this tool starts interfering with our basic communication with human beings, then we have to give it serious thought. So eyes also help us control people. For example, most people, I have noticed that when public speaking is going on and we are hosting or comparing the event, then sometimes we'll see that the audience is not in our control. The audience is either talking, whispering, chatting, they're doing something or the other on the phone, but not under control. So eyes are very powerful. Eyes can help you control people. We cannot shout and give orders and be loud and dictate to others to listen to us by using verbal communication, but a mere gaze at everyone, a soft gaze, stopping to look at someone for a few moments will bring that person to us. It brings him in the present moment, and it brings him or her to us. So through our eyes, we can also control, we can be assertive. At the same time, we can also be empathic. We can sympathize and understand the other person if we look at him. So you see how important it is to develop good eye behavior. Facial expressions and smile. So a smile is a curve that sets everything straight, says Phyllis Diller. Now, if anything goes wrong in between relationships, between people, then a smile is something that has the power to set everything right. And smile is an integral part of the face, because most of the facial expressions are related either to the eyes or to our the smile. And face shows so many emotions at one time, and some emotions are universal. They can be understood anywhere in the world, like the emotion of happiness. You go anywhere in the country, you go to a tribal part, you go to jungles, you see animals, you see people from different cultures, but happiness, sadness, fear, anger, disgust, jealousy, these are emotions that are identifiable very easily. And if we want to learn the art of expressions, we must learn them from babies, dear all. If you look at babies, they do not know how to speak, but they are so expressive. They are so perfect. Whenever they need food, they can just cry, and they cry differently. You can make out when a baby is crying genuinely, when a baby is just crying to attract the attention, when the cry is a false alarm. So it is so important to learn from babies, because they do not control their nonverbal communication. They use them to the fullest. But as we grow up, because of societal pressures, because of norms, because of culture, and then because of what other people will think, we start controlling these nonverbal communication tools that we have. And then gradually we forget giving a cheerful and a genuine smile. We stop smiling at people who meet us on trains, in theaters, in meetings, and we stop giving the happy, having the happy, excited face, only thinking that we will be misjudged. So babies are the best teachers for nonverbal communication skills. Now, coming back to smiles, smiles, they have a lot of work, I should say, in the field of communication. They communicate and they have so many services to offer. A smile is a symbol of a confident person. And a genuine smile, it helps build relationships. And it also shows that the person is responsible and trustworthy. And several studies have been, carried out. And a particular study I've mentioned here by Oxford University, the Said Business School, which said that workers were 13% more productive when they were happy. So any organization where people are happy, smiling, and they show enthusiasm, they show interest, they are interactive, they communicate through nonverbal means, the environment becomes energetic and the efficiency improves. So it is very important for us to see that we give this environment to our students, to our employers, and to our family and friends and so on. And it's not only they who gain, but it's we who are the actual achievers and gainers in this way. Now, there are some smiles. Socially, sometimes, we smile, made up smiles, but that is because we need to smile. They smiles which do not, come from the core of our heart, but they are a part of the etiquette, right? So you will see that there are rewarding smiles. When a child does something and the child looks up to his mother or teacher, and the teacher smiles in appreciation, rewarding the child with a smile. And these smiles do a lot to boost the confidence and the morale of the child. And then there is a smile of reassurance. Suppose I am sitting here and I make a mistake while speaking and I'm terrified inside, but Honorable Sir or Ma'am just gives me a reassuring smile, all is well, don't bother. That changes the world for me. That changes the world and I'm able to rise up. And these little things that we do for each other makes a lot of difference, dear all, in the communication process. And then there is a smile of dominance. It is a smile of power. And there are wistful smiles when we need something and we're not able to achieve something. Embarrassment, smiles of embarrassment, polite smiles, and so on. So ultimately, dear student, how well we speak or not, that will definitely create an impression in the long run, help you achieve your goal. But how you are as a person, what your body says about you, what effuses from your face, that is ultimately going to leave a lasting impression on everyone. Your resume, your degrees is going to perhaps make you, get a job, land a job. But how you sustain yourself and how you build relationship will depend on the non-verbal communication techniques that you use along with the verbal communication. Now, I will take this chance to move on to the second field. From kinesics, we are now moving on to haptics, or the science of touch. Now, haptics is the study of communication by touch, and touch is one of the most sensitive chapter. So sensitive that now it is being taught at primary level in most schools, because we have now come to understand and accept for the first time the implication of good touch and bad touch. And we realize that touch is something which is rudimentary, the most essential communication skills for humans as well as animals, and therefore we need to use it. Now, touch is so powerful that words fail. Imagine that one of our closed ones had gone through a major loss in life. There is a loss. So many people lost their close family members during COVID. At that time, a lecture or a long talk is not required. Fluent speaking is not required. All that is required is a touch. of empathy, a touch of reassurance, and that touch is enough to convey. So that is why it is very, very powerful. It has the strength to communicate a lot more. Now, what is important in haptics is to understand how much to touch, for what duration to touch, when to touch. This is very important. So suppose you go to a meeting and you have a handshake. Now, if somebody, invites me for a handshake, and if I just touch it like this, as just a brush, or I barely touch, I just, do this and I barely touch. Now, this shows that I am not willing to associate. It's not warm. It's nowhere warm. It's like you are avoiding the handshake. So this says a lot about relationship. It sets the tone of that meeting. Now, suppose there's a person and the person offers his or her hand, and you hold it and for too long, too tight and too long. So the duration matters a lot. It again says something. So an official formal handshake is said to be like this, and immediately you release your hand. So we are not supposed to hold it like this and not even carry it on for too long. So this is very important. Whereas if we are with our friends or family members, we sit holding our hands tightly and perhaps for a long duration. So touch varies from place to place, from people to people, depending on the situation, whether it is formal, informal, etc. Now, touch can be handshake, holding hands, slap on the back, a high five with our friends, hugs, brushing each other's arm, sitting close to each other, lying on someone's lap, etc. Now, the positive power of touch. Touch has a power to communicate resonance. It shows reassurance, it shows care, it shows affection. Whereas this same touch can communicate harassment, can communicate threat, because touch is also associated with violence and sex. And if the concept of touch is understood by each and every individual of the world at the basic level, we will not be having cases of sexual assault and rapes, dear all. It is so important in the modern world to understand that we are not allowed to touch anyone without the person's consent, that it is not okay to brush past anyone, whether it is a female or a male. So this communicates a lot. If we are the people, if we are the type of personality who deliberately try and touch other people, then we create disharmony in relationships, and the person is never going to have a normal relationship with us. So we should not make it a habit of communicating wrong signals through touch. Now, again, there are several types of touch which are important. For example, the functional and the professional touch. For example, the touch of the, the hairstylist, the touch of the doctor. Now the doctor treats us, and it is important for him to, touch us. But this touch is not taken otherwise, because it is the function. It is a function. It is required as a function of the doctor to, touch our face, to, look at our teeth, the tongue, the eyes, and to test the BP and so on. The barber, the tailor. So these are called functional or professional touch. Then we have the socio-polite touch, like the handshake that we have. Then there is a touch of warmth, which is there in friendship. And then there is an intimate touch, which is there in very, very close and intimate relations. So all these, it is very important to understand touch, to make it an important part of our communication. We can also use it with our verbal communication. When we are communicating with family members, we do not stand away from them. We reduce the distance and we come back. So our verbal, talk, when we communicate with our mother, and I say, Mom, I love you, I will not say from a distance. I will go near her, hug her, and and then say the thing. And then this word, I love you, and this sentence, I love you, Mom, will have a lot of meaning. So it is important to understand touch in the right context and use it use it consciously and regularize how we use touch. I now move on to the next part, that is vocalics. Now, vocalics or paralanguage. So vocalics is again a study of the vocal quality. Now, it has everything to do with the vocal cord, but not with the words. So verbal messages, they work together with vocalics or paralanguage. For example, now when I'm giving this lecture, at certain times you must have seen me saying So all these are called verbal fillers. We add it to our language, but they do not mean anything. When I say vocalics is a study of paralanguage. Now this that I'm interfering and using with my words actually doesn't mean anything. It is a verbal filler, or you can say vocalics. I may be using it here for two reasons. Either I am at a loss of words and I'm thinking what to say next, so I use the filler to give me time, or I'm doing it to pause and move on to a next point, or I'm using it to create some sort of an impression or something identity about the way I talk. Now vocalics also contain certain words that are, you can say, are vocal signatures. All of us have certain words that we use repetitively in our communication. For example, word like, this is like, okay, you can go like, let's do it like, we'll meet on say like Thursday. So using like again. This is vocalics, paralanguage, the additional matter that we use to words or verbal communication. The pitch. When we ask a question, the pitch goes high. When we say farewell, bye, the pitch goes down. So the number of vibrations that are made by the vocal cord when we are saying something, it helps us understand. If I say, where are you? And the pitch goes up. So you understand that it is a question, because you cannot see the question mark. When I say, where are you? You cannot see the question mark, but you can hear it. So this hearing part is done by the pitch. The pitch is the paralanguage that we add with the sentence, where are you? If I say, where are you? And there is nothing, the question mark is not heard, then the meaning is not related. So often in classes when we are having dictation and I call up students to read a paragraph, to sometimes read poems, to read parts of drama, an act or a story, I tell them to work upon these aspects, to make a question ring like a question, to make an exclamation seem like an exclamation, something sudden, because they enrich the language. The language cannot be flat. Words are flat and we need pitch, we need the speech, we need intonation to give rhythm and music to our language. Now, each voice has a distinct quality. We can identify voices. Each voice is separate. It has its own unique combinations and identity. For example, the voice of Amitabh Bachchan. Now, so many people try to imitate his voice. It's a voice we Indians acknowledge and love. It is not possible to imitate someone's voice to the last tone, but definitely we can control our volume, the intensity, the emphasis, the pronunciation, the tone, and by doing this we can improve upon our language skills, the spoken English. It can be improved if we work upon these factors, the vocalics. Now, if I talk of written language, have anyone, dear student, have you ever tried writing something in caps lock? Now, in email etiquette, it is always mentioned, one important aspect is do not write in caps lock. Now, caps lock in writing is like shouting or yelling. You are yelling on the page. So in email, we may do it by mistake. By mistake, sometimes we just type in caps lock. But when you read it, if you read the part over here, see, typing in all caps, it seems as if the person is yelling. So this again has to be avoided. The rate of speech, how many words do we speak in a minute? That is the rate of speech. So some speakers are fast, some speakers are slow, and some speakers are average, working upon their speed. So normally we consider that the ideal speech rate to be 120 words per minute. Now sometimes the rate, how fast you can speak is also associated with your intelligence. It is believed that people who can use say more words than 150 or 120 to 150 a minute have a better intelligence. But that does not mean that if you are a fast speaker, you can be understood. So it is one thing to speak fast and it is another to be understood. So it is important to have the correct rate of speech. We should neither be too fast and we should not be too slow. So imagine if now I am speaking to you and I say speaking rate refers to how fast or slow a person speaks. It is believed that people with high rate are intelligent. Variations in speaking. Now, if I continue speaking in like this, you will lose what I'm the interest. You will not be able to connect one sentence with the other and you will be bored. You will be bored and you will not pay interest because we have the capability, the mind has the capability to process around 120 words in a minute. So if the words are coming too slow, the mind is being wasted and it's not able to wait. So the mind starts wandering. We start thinking about different things when the person is speaking too slowly. And similarly, if we are talking very very fast, then the sound and the words get muddled up and the meaning is not clear. So again, it is our loss. People will not be able to understand. Now, it is very important for those who are interested in public speaking. So when we have the mic in front of us and we are speaking, if we go very fast, the mic amplifies many times the our sound and the words, and they are all jumbled up and cannot be heard by the audience. So it is very important to hold the mic at the right distance and to practice beforehand and make someone tell you whether you're going too fast or too slow. Because if we speak too fast, the words will overlap each other and they will not be understood by the audience. When we have the mic, if we have the gathering of say more than 50 people, we need to use a mic, because if we think that our volume can go up, then once the volume is too high, the tone, the pitch, the intonation is lost and you will appear as if you are yelling or shouting. It will be loud. So whenever there is a gathering of say 100 people and I've tried speaking without a mic in a large space, I have seen that I've ended up doing drastically poor because I have to shout, I have to have a high volume, and once I try to have a very high volume, the other qualities of my voice, the vocalics, are lost. So we have to work upon the tone. Similarly, tone matters a lot, right? If I talk in whispering tones all the time, it will not be audible and people will not be interested. When you talk to a person sitting close to you, you will have a different tone. When you're talking over the mic, you will have a different tone. When you're talking in the garden, because it's an open environment, we will have a different tone. So the voice, the tone, all these make up the vocalics, which is a very, very important part of our language. And it is also important for the verbal communication as well. So there's a little activity I will suggest to all the students of Horticultural University as well as my students if they are listening, that there are certain apps nowadays on many websites where you can test your rate of speech and improve upon it. Now we call communication skills. Now, if communication is a skill, that means it can be acquired. And the second characteristic of a skill is that it can be improved upon. So a skill is something that we can learn and acquire, and a skill is something that we can constantly improve upon. So if you go to these websites and try the reading exercises and see how many words you can speak in a minute, and then do it every day for say 5 minutes a day, and you will see that you are able to speak real fluently, and you are able to even understand a lot of vocabulary, new vocabulary, because the more you read, the mind takes these words, and somewhere it is stored in the by the cognitive the cognitive ability of the mind. All the words, vocabulary that we read, that we hear from someone, they register here, and somewhere they come up. We do not need to mug up all the words. A time will come when we will not require a dictionary. We will be able to infer meaning just by hearing the sentence. So that is the capability we need to develop. We might not know the exact meaning, but we will be able to understand. And this quality and this technique will help us a lot in TOEFL and IELTS exam. So I've also been the trainer for IELTS, and this is one thing which I also make an initiative and try to do on a regular basis, so that even I am able to enhance my vocabulary and communication skills. I would now like to move on to the next point. Shall I continue? Is it okay with everyone?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
yeah, please let me know if I'm going too fast or too slow, or if there is an issue. So I will try to modify it a bit. So yes, so I will thank you once again for your attention. And now I will take this opportunity to move on to another point, which is very, very interesting. I know you all must be wondering that I'm saying every part is interesting. So kinesics was interesting, haptics was interesting, proxemics is very interesting, but let me assure you that each part is so special in its own way and so complete. Every time I take up this chapter and discuss it in class, I feel there is so much that we can do. There is a wonder we can achieve by focusing on all our non-verbal qualities. And proxemics is the study of the word proxy comes from proximation, proximity. So approximate, all these words are related to each other. So this is also, when we see a new word, we go to the root word and try to see what it can mean. So one new word, just giving 1 minute to it will make us understand at least 10 new words related to it. So proximity, proximation, proxy, they all relate to space. So proxemics is a study of how space and distance influence communication. Now, proxemics as a theory was established by Edward Hall in one of his books, The Silent Language. He talks about proxemics and has given us all a wonderful theory. Now, it is a study of space, I say, and distance. How does space and distance influence us? So, have you ever realized, dear students, that suppose you are talking to someone, a person, you have just met, and the person comes too close to you suddenly, comes too close to you, and you stop abruptly, or you just, are taken aback and move back. Must have happened to so many of us. It does happen, and we let it go. But then, are we also in the habit of doing the same thing? And so many times it happens, like we are standing on the stage, on the raised platform, ready to give a speech, ready to recite a poem, ready to give a presentation, and there is this audience, say 500 people sitting in front of us at a lower level. Now what happens in most theaters and auditoriums, the stage is elevated, it is raised, and the audience, they sit at a lower level. Now this this position, if you think, it causes agony to many speakers, because it is as if you are looking down upon someone and talking, and they are looking at you raised. So their head is raised to you. They are looking upon you, you can say, and you are looking down. So this hierarchical position gives jitters to many speakers. All public speakers, presenters feel this, feel jittery and anxious, to a certain level because of this, the setting of the theater. Right. Now, there's another connotation to space and distance. Like, see, sitting here, I might be very far from my mother. My mother, who is in Kolkata right now, I am in Jhansi. But if you ask me, I say I'm very close to my mother. Now, you will, as students of science, you will say, ma'am, how are you close? You are sitting, say, more than 2,000 kilometers away from your mother. How can you be close? Science will not approve of it. But over here, if we think it from the, the other mind, then I will say that the close here is not in distance. The distance does not separate me from my mother. The feeling of closeness, the feeling of being close in a relationship. This is non-verbal communication. So you might be very close to your parents, away from them, thousands of kilometers away, perhaps in other countries, yet be very, very close. The communication of this closeness between you and your mother is the non-verbal element of your life and personality. And sometimes what happens, even if a person is sitting next to you, say one of our colleagues is sitting next, to us, and we have just had some sort of an argument, and at that moment we are not in the mood of conversing, then we feel so distant. Now, just sitting next on the, next to each other, not even a distance of 1 feet, yet we say, I'm so distant from her or him. Where is the difference? The distance, this distance is space, proxemics, how you communicate. At that time, communication wise, you're very, very far from your colleague, even though you are sitting next to each other. This distance and space is very, very detrimental to our relationships. So it is very important to be close, but it is very important to identify this distance as well, because it can do a lot to our communication system and our professional success as well. Space influences how people behave and communicate. Now, psychologists have studied that people who live in slum areas, who have to live in very congested neighborhoods, have often shown antisocial behavior. Why is it so? What makes these places, these congested and crowded neighborhoods, the focal point of crimes? Why do crimes originate from these places? Admittedly, poverty, unemployment, these are the factors. But one major factor that have been identified by this sort of behavior, by delinquent behavior, by antisocial behavior, is living in crowded spaces. Say we are living in a room, 10 of us in one room. And then after a certain time, we will show aggressiveness. We will show anger. We will show rudeness. We might also show violent behavior. Why? Because the smaller space, our space bubble is being burst. We all have this bubble around us, and this bubble is being constantly burst. So if the bubble is regularly burst by someone, we are not able to handle it, and our behavior towards people changes, our performance changes. Now, if those of you who live in cities and who have traveled by cars, the trains, in crowded local trains. If you have seen movies of Mumbai, the people, their life, the life in Mumbai, the life of people traveling by local trains, in congested surroundings, they are traveling for hours on end, day and night for years. And so many movies have been based on this, that because of this constant, traveling in the crowded compartments of local trains, the people have started showing traits of isolation, depression, anger, dejection, lack of enthusiasm, interest. And all this is also shown on the workplace. from the crowded local train when you reach your office or your classroom. Think of the mood. Think of how you're going to focus. Think of how you're going to communicate. Think of how you're going to perfectly give a lecture if you've just been in such a surrounding. So that is why proxemics is very, very important. The breach of our personal space can lead to several negative reactions. So the personal space is very, very important for an individual. Now over here, allow me to show you the diagram, this picture of a person standing in the zone at the center. From the person's up to 1 feet, we say it is the intimate space. From up till 4 feet, we say it is a personal space. And after that, we have the social space and then the public space. So the intimate, the personal, the social, and the public. These are the 4 zones in which we live all throughout our lives. Now let us see what happens in these zones and beyond the zones. The intimate zone, let us know about it first. Intimate space, it is the invisible line. Now we cannot see the line. It is an invisible line 1 feet from me, 1.5 feet from my body is the intimate zone. And this space is reserved specially for the closest of friends, the family, parents, my children, and perhaps the intimate partners. Nobody else is given access to this intimate space. Now, if somebody violates this space, it is going to cause disruption. And this disruption will be seen in my communication as well. This disruption will determine my relationship with that person. Now, socio-cultural norms do not allow us to show the intimate zone to everyone. So we do not open up this zone to all of us, and everyone. So this is the intimate space or the intimate bubble that we have. Next is the personal zone from 1.5 feet to 4 feet. It is reserved again for friends, close acquaintances, and most of our communication occurs in this zone, right? But even in this zone, we can say we also have some professional people, say the doctors, our colleagues, people we meet at, say, shopping malls, the shopkeepers, etc. So many people come in this zone till 4 feet. But once they enter this feet, they come within 1.5, then we feel discomfort. So people from 1.5 feet to 4 feet, this shows that they are not regularly in touch with us, but we communicate with them verbally. We can communicate or touch only if we are within the intimate zone. But again, in the 4 feet zone, there is another sub zone that is from 1.5 to 2.5 feet, which is reserved for people with whom we have interpersonal relationships. For example, among all my colleagues, perhaps I have interpersonal relationships with only 2 colleagues with whom I hold hands, whom I can hug, put a pat on the shoulder, but not all my colleagues. So some might be in the range of say 1.5 to 2.5. The others will be in the range of 4 feet. So we do not have visible zones, but over the time, we all have these zones. And we want to maintain the personal, the intimate, the social zones. It is very, very crucial in our lives to maintain these zones. Coming to the next slide, I will go to the social zone, that is 4 feet to 12 feet. Now 4 feet to 12 feet is generally the distance between the speaker and the audience, the classroom teacher and the students. If we talk about keep at arm's length, there is a phrase, keep at arm's length. Now what does this arm's length indicate? So it says my arm plus your arm. So approximately 2 feet plus 2 feet of the other person. So we count it as arm's length. So 2 arms make 1 arm's length, that is 4 feet. Now this is the social length. In the classroom, the teacher's table and chair is appropriately placed if it is at least 4 feet away from the students. Or say if I enter my officer's cabin, the distance, the table and my chair distance, the distance between these two people should be, because they come in the social zone, it should be more than 4 feet. This and this is preferred in most professional settings. Now in this setting, we do not have deep conversation, because for very, very deep conversation, we require emotional rapport and closeness, both physical and emotional. But in this zone, we talk to people who are professionally related to us. Now, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Am I audible? Yeah. I'm sorry, there was an internet issue. I think you can hear me now. So in the classroom, the students sit from 4 feet to say 15 feet. Now, it can be seen that students who sit in the front rows, we develop more affinity for them. We develop more affinity for them. We identify with them more. We have more non-verbal communication with them. We look at them more often and nod at them more often. We smile at them more often. This is all because in the zone, they are closer to us rather than those students who are sitting at the back. That is why it is always advised that students must rotate and not sit, be backbenchers all the time, because they need to come forward, they need to communicate. Just listening to the lecture and hearing the teacher is not enough, but to have all these, aspects of non-verbal communication, to make them work in a relationship, it is important for students to rotate their places. Now we say that students are in the social zone, but if a student has some work and if he or she wants to come to me and talk to me and to perhaps show me the textbook, then they for some time they come closer to me. But again, that is for a professional, you can say work. Once that work is done, they again move away from me. But without any work, they will not come so near a teacher. Why? Because these spaces are already identified. Now, again, after the social zone, we have the public zone, that is 12 feet plus. Now, we do not officially, you can say that we are not obligated to talk to people who are, say, 12 feet away from us while walking on roads or while crossing down the corridor. If the person is 12 feet, more than 12 feet, it is not, we are not, under the obligation. But if they cross us nearer, say 6 feet or so, we do say hello. And what happens if we do not say hello? It is very important that when a person is crossing you at least acknowledge the person, whoever he or she is. Even if it is a child, 4-year-old child, we need not see the level of the person. It is important as a human being and as a non-verbal marker of communication that we nod or greet a person who is crossing us. As a non-verbal etiquette, it is very important to acknowledge the person, because somewhere in life, all of us are looking for acknowledgement. We are looking for acceptance. We want to be accepted by people. We do not want to be nobodies. We do not want to be invisible. It is very important, if we want to be visible to everyone and to be accepted by everyone, we have to take the first step to acknowledge people, to greet people when we meet them, on the staircase, in the lift, while crossing the corridors, while sitting at the gym, anyone. We go to the restaurant and we ask something from the waiter. When he comes and gives us something, it is so important to smile and say thank you, to acknowledge his presence as a human being. And this constantly improves us. In several countries, we find that people are very, very friendly, even with strangers. So being friendly, being communicative, nodding, it makes our personality effusive and happy. It makes us communicative. It makes us contribute more. A happy individual will contribute more to his workplace and to his surroundings and to his society. So that is why this chapter, nonverbal communication, is extremely significant for all of us. with this, I will again move to the next part, chronemics. Now the several X that we are doing. So from proximics, the last part, I would now like to move on to chronemics. Chrono has something to do with chronology. Chrono has to do something with time. So chronemics is the study of how time impacts relationships and nonverbal and communication. So we all know that chronemics matter a lot. Time is very important for society. If I have an interview and I'm late for the interview, then am I expecting the interviewer to wait for me? No, by being late for an interview, I have already shown to the interviewer how interested and passionate I am about the job. And what will I do? What I will do once I get that job. I have communicated certain values of my life to him. So that being late for an interview is detrimental to a career. We end up losing our jobs. Similarly, if I am late in submitting as an assistant professor, if I am late for submitting documents, for submitting reports, late in conducting exams, irregular in my classrooms, not available on time, absent, then how will I be taken as my students? What will I be communicating? How will people relate to me? What type of responsibilities and duties and power will I be given? So it is very important to be on time for building upon communication skills, for building credibility, for showing responsibility, for showing power. Because those who have control over their time actually have control over everything, their environment, their work. They have control over their success. Some students are not able to do well in exam because they have not timed their work properly. They have not made a schedule of their courses. They have not determined when they are going to start preparation. So because they do not pay attention to time and do not control time, time do not give them opportunities. So it is very important to take care of time. Now time also shows power. It is often seen that famous Hollywood and Bollywood stars, sports persons, eminent personalities, they always arrive late. They arrive only after all the people, the audience have arrived. Why not before? But this is deliberately done. This is done as a show of power. So if the personality arrives and the people are not there, it shows something about them. So they arrive late when the house is full. This shows their power. They have the power to be late. They can be late. They can afford to be late. Similarly, when we go to a doctor, we are given a time that we have to reach by say 5 o'clock, an appointment. Most of the times we are there, but the doctor isn't there. So the doctor takes his time. He can afford to be late. 5 and 6 patients come and then the doctor arrives. Again, what is it? This time denotes power, the power of his profession. So this power is used by people to communicate their importance. So we see how people communicate. Some people want to show their domination, so they are late. Some people want to show how powerful they are, so they are late. But simultaneously, some people arrive on time to communicate that they are regular, that they are disciplined, that they value other people's time. So it depends on us what we want to communicate by the use of time. Shall I continue? Now, we will now talk about different
okay, madam.
time. I'll continue, sir.
Which is,
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So now let us move
Yeah, you
on.
can continue, madam.
Okay, sir. Okay. So now let us talk about the categories of time. Now we can divide time into different types or kinds. One is the biological time. Now we all have the biological clock ticking. So for some, it might be a time for tea right now. For some, it is a time for afternoon nap. So we all have the cycle, the time we eat, the time we sleep, the time when we are awake, the time we go for a walk. Everything, the biological clock is there to take care of our bodies. What happens when this biological clock is disturbed? Say what happens if I have not been able to sleep soundly, say perhaps I had a bad cough and for 2-3 days I've not been able to sleep properly. If I come for a lecture and I did not have a 2 nights of sound sleep, I will not be able to concentrate. I will be dejected. I might show confusion. I might not be that fluent. I might not sound enthusiastic. I might be tired. So when the natural biological clock is disturbed, this is communicated. So if we are late, if we develop the habit of sleep or of keeping up till late night, getting up very late in the morning, if this becomes a regular habit, it shows on our personality. Students who are late risers, who wake up late and just come and enter the class, yawn in the class. Yawn is another sign, a paralanguage. Oh, it is again paralanguage. It communicates something. In the class, some students, when they just shut their eyes and are dozing off, biological clock disturbed. In the class, they are not able to attention. An employee comes to office feeling very, very drowsy because he was awake last night. Comes, cannot concentrate. Comes, cannot take the class properly. And if this becomes a regular habit, his work efficiency will be affected. Now, so it is very important to take care that we follow the biological clock of our body. Now, similarly, when we have jet lag is also the same thing. If we have traveled to America and we are coming back after a month, now because the day night the clock is different in India and the US. So our biological clock is disturbed, and then we say we are experiencing jet lag. We sleep during daytime and we are awake the whole night. And at that time, if somebody gives us an important duty, we simply crash. So for our mental health, for our physical health, for our emotional health, and for our competence, it is very important to respect the biological time. We will be irritable. People who do not sleep at night, are late in getting up, generally show irritable behavior. They get angry very fast. This is because the biological clock, they are not going along with the biological clock. And then we come to the next point, that is the personal time. Now, biological clock is about the body, the clock of the body. Personal time is how I relate to time, how time works for me. See, now I'm giving a lecture on my most favorite topic. So for me, time is flying. I'm not able to look, I do not even want to look at the watch because for me, this time is flying. Doing something of interest, hobbies. If we like painting and if I'm painting, I might not be aware of time. Time flies. But there might be people who are not so interested in non-verbal communication right now. And for them, even 5 minutes of this lecture might be heavy. They might be looking at their watch, say 10 times, and they might be thinking when it is going to end. This is all about personal time. When we do something that is interesting, we find time is flying. When we do something that is not interesting, something we do not care about, we find that time does not pass. If you are in the company of your friends, time flies. But if you are in company of someone whom you do not get along very well with, it is impossible to even pass 2 minutes. So this is what personal time, how we engage with time. Then most of us also have time orientation. What is time orientation? Some people have past orientation. Past orientation, they will always remember instances from the past. They will narrate from things from the childhood, their colleges, and their achievements of the past. They will be more interested in the photograph, the travels they have taken, the people they met in their yesteryears. So we say that they are past oriented. They like meeting old friends, old neighbors, and so on. And some people, they are future oriented. So they will always be making plans for the future, thinking what to do next, what I should do, planning a dinner, planning a party, organizing something, spending time in making, to-do lists. What should I do in the vacation? What should I do next year? Planning their retirement, planning their children's marriages, planning the book they are going to write next year. So they are future oriented. Now, it is okay to have past orientations or future orientations. Future orientation, those who have those people are very inclined towards their career and professions. And those who are into their past are closely concerned about relationships, ties, and all. So we cannot say one is good, one is bad. But what should we do? What is more important is to neither be in the past nor in the future, but to be present oriented. Being present oriented means if I am giving the lecture now and if I have a headache, I must try and forget it. If I have some important task in the evening, I must let it go for some time and be in the present and enjoy this thing that I am doing right now. So being in the present, if I have a job now at RLBCU, I must be enjoying it and giving my wholehearted attention to this job. For a student, being in the present means enjoying, appreciating the courses, the syllabus, the field visits, the demonstrations, the farmers' talk, the webinars, the seminars, the lab work, the assignments that he is doing. Being in the present helps him engage and understand and make the present today an integral part of his life. So rather being in the past and thinking about the past mistakes and happenings or contemplating too much about what future has in store for me, it is important to focus on the present. By focusing on the present, we will also relate better to the people around us, to our surroundings. And this definitely is going to help our career, our professional and our personal life. So this was about the personal time. I now move on to physical time. Physical time has something to do with the cycle of days, years, and the season. So we have spring and we have winter and we have summers. So the passing of years, the days and the night, the seasons, they have an impact on us, on our psychological, emotional, mental well-being and state. Now, you will find that people have different experiences. They have different emotional and mental states in different seasons. It has been found in studies that people tend to be more depressed in winter seasons, in colder seasons, than in summers. Why? Because the sunlight, the rays of the sun is very, very important for us. In places where they do not have direct sunlight or where it is dark and wintry most of the time, say in places like Canada. In Canada, the cases of depression are higher because they experience long and harsh winters. So because they do not, and these people then they go to sea beaches or they go to, excuse me, they go to places where they can sit under the sun for some time. So, and to refresh themselves. And it is an important part of a ritual. Going to beaches every year in summers is crucial for them. For us, it might be a vacation. So it happens a lot. The seasons, the days and night matter a lot, especially for people who are old. In the old age, the winter time is a tough time, not only because for the body, but also for the mind, the mental and the emotional state. Psychologists have also stated that people who have depression and who do not like meeting people, who want to isolate themselves, always you keep the windows closed or they switch off the lights in the room very often. So they do not let sunlight to enter the room. The curtains are always drawn. Why? Because they want to stay in the darkness. And the darkness it complements their depressive state. So they prefer this. And that is why one major therapy given to all people who face depression and such isolation is to move out, to wake up early in the morning, go out in the sunshine. Similarly, you will find that in Venice, Venice is a city which is surrounded by water all over. They have the canal. You'll always find that there is music. The people are on the canoe and they are playing music. Why? So studies have shown that because they are surrounded by water from all sides, they tend to become people who live in near water all the time. The sailors, the captains, the merchant navy people, people living in such cities like Venice, because they are surrounded by water all the time. It impacts their body, and that is why to overcome depression and to come out of this isolation, music becomes an integral part of their life to break the monotony and bring internal harmony. So people who go as sailors and join merchant navy, they have a tough life. So when they come back after 3 months, they are given an equal period of rest and they retire early, because living surrounded by water is a very, very tough thing. Not everyone can do. Why? So definitely this is having some impact on us. You will also hear of a lot of violence that used to happen on ships, in the navy, on merchant navy, in other ships, etc. Violence and fights and anger, display of anger. This is very, very prominent, not because the people are at fault, but because the physical time, the surrounding is making them behave like this. So we have to be very aware of these cycle of days and night and go along with the cycle. And to follow these rules. And also it is important to observe ourselves and our behavior in relation to these categories of time, because as I said, communication is a skill. So definitely there are chances and a lot of scope for improvement. Now we are coming to the last part of this chapter, that is the nonverbal communication. And after talking about chronemics, proxemics, haptimics, we will now be talking about artifacts. Artifacts, personal presentation, and environment. Artifacts and personal presentation. Now, when we are talking about communication skills cannot be disintegrated from personality development. Now, personality is a sum total of two things: how others see us and how we see ourselves. So how we see ourselves is one thing, and how we show ourselves to others and how others judge us. Both are our personality, both are the integral part of our personality. And all of us have this personality that we portray to others. We always carry some sort of a personality. We are a brand in our own name. So personal presentation involves two things. One is the physical characteristic, something to do with my body shape that I cannot do much about. Yes, if I am obese or overweight, obviously I can. But if I'm genetically overweight, I cannot control it. Height, weight, the other physical features that I have, these personal characteristics are a part of my personality, but I do not have much control, rather no control over them. And so that is why it is desirable not to judge people from the outer facade. Just as we say that we should not judge a book by the cover. The cover and the name are not enough to tell us what the book actually holds. So similarly, we should not be judging people from their the color, the height, the weight, their personal appearances and the outer personality. We need to go beyond it and look at their inherent nature and the inner being. So the physical characteristics are one part, and the other part is what artifacts are we surrounded with. Artifacts are the objects surrounding us. They can be even the kind of spectacles I wear, the earrings I put in, the kind of rings we wear, the kind of clothes we wear, the type of jewelry we wear, the hairstyles we have. And sometimes we also wear symbols, like in India, women wear the Mangal Sutra or the payal, the bichya, and the sindoor, etc. The Christians, they wear the cross. So all these are artifacts that we carry. The type of pen, even the brand of pen I carry, the brand of watch that I wear, everything communicates something. They are the artifacts, the objects around me, but they have been chosen by me to send a message. Now, in the earlier times, when I will just, because being a feminine sensibility scholar, I wrote about something like when we used to wear ghungat, when it was a few centuries ago or a few hundred years ago, when it was important for women to dress up in a particular way and carry the pallu on the head, then we can say that if I had carried a pallu, it would have been a statement. That artifact, the pallu on my head, would be an artifact, a symbol, a message that I want to convey, that I am obeying society. I want to follow rules of the society. But what happens the day when I leave it? Many women gave up the wearing the pallu, and that was a statement. That thing that we removed was a statement. That was a communication. That was a communication that we do not want to follow this rule, and we are defying. So we were showing our defiance by giving it up. So we cannot say it was just a normal casual thing. It was a deliberate statement put up. Similarly, nowadays when we find when students and children, they grow long hair, they color their hair. Sometimes we color it black, blue, purple, yellow, everything. It demonstrates something. It shows we want to be a certain style. We want people to know us like this. So we do it. Now think of body piercing. Body piercing was earlier just a part of the tribal culture. Body piercing as well as tattoo was very important and intrinsic part of all the tribal cultures of the world. But now body piercing and tattoos, become mainstream fashion, and they have become mainstream artifacts. People have tattoos all over their bodies. The tattoos say something. Now, if I have a tattoo written, communicating Ma, it is there for certain reason. Because if this Ma I wanted for myself, I would not have got it written here. But when I have it written here, I want to openly demonstrate and acknowledge how important she is for me. So sometimes people have religious figures, sometimes flowers, sometimes they have fire, sometimes they have Om, sometimes they have gods and goddesses, sometimes the photos or names of their romantic partners. So tattoos convey a lot. Body piercing, it also is an artifact. It shows something to society. In traditional Indian society, if a person comes with body piercing all over, then he or she is communicating that I do not care for your traditional values, define values, going against them, daring. So we cannot say that they are very humble. They all communicate something. Now, jewelry also. In our culture, a ring finger, generally in most Indian cultures, the ring finger does not denote relationship. We just wear it perhaps. Nowadays, we have this ring ceremony, and in Western culture, the ring is very important. The ring finger shows whether you are in a relationship or not. And status is determined. If you remove the finger, it shows that the relationship is over. But in our countries, we do not, consider the ring finger and that particular ring so important. For us, perhaps it is just a piece of jewelry. And today, if I remove the ring, maybe it will not mean anything. Nobody will understand anything. So culture to culture also, artifacts and objects communicate different things. Now students, they carry the bags, the school bags, the badges, the shoes, everything communicates their personality. Now if we see a king's house, it will look something like this, ornate with mirror, gold, a high chair, a high bagged chair, all gold and red with lots of solitaires perhaps, or Swarovski crystals. And why? Because it will show opulence. If you go to a sadhu or a monk's home, it will be a hut. It will have perhaps mud. The color he wears will be saffron. So if I am meditating, if I'm meditating, I will wear perhaps white. If I go to a morning, I will wear white. If I go to a party, I will wear night party, or a cocktail, I will wear silver. So all these things show something. Youngsters and teenagers generally like to keep their room, young boys in their 20s, they like to keep their room in a state of chaos. Things here and there. And when the parents come and say, organize it, they say, no, we do not want, let it be. I want this unorganized look. Why? It is a part of their personality. They want to communicate the chaos within. They want to show this is the way we live. So we are giving messages every moment with the way we dress, the way we put makeup, the way we carry our body, our clothes, the way we arrange our furniture, the type of furniture we buy, the color of the room we choose, everything. Now, if I have this flower pot kept here, I have a flower pot kept here, and perhaps this a small piece showing my interest in craft, and these plants showing my love for nature. So keeping them near me reminds me that I'm a nature lover, and I also want others to know that I'm close to nature and environment. So my message to them is green, to have green near that ourselves, and I'm conveying deliberately this message by having lots of green in my room. And because I'm a literature teacher, I like reading books, so I've displayed lots of books and novels in my room to show my love of reading, and perhaps to communicate to others that reading is very, very important. Being close to books is very, very important. So it is this this is our way of talking to the world. So all these things that we just now talked about, the environment, the artifacts and everything, they show a lot about us. They can convey formality. If I have a very, very formal room, if I am at at a high post, and I have a very, very formal setting and high chairs, and the setting might make someone distance from me. You might feel embarrassment in coming and sitting down. You might be in awe of the surrounding. Whereas some people like casual and warm surroundings, inviting. That is why we say some people's homes are very inviting. And some people's home you don't want to go. You feel that you do not have a place there. So your artifacts convey friendliness, dominance. They also show your communicate your socio-economic background, the amount of sophistication we have. They also communicate our education level. And if we see, we are using all these symbols, the traffic lights, the traffic signals, they are all non-verbal means of communication. Where we store a cylinder or anything hazardous, we have the red sign. The ambulance has a certain sign. Even the sound of the ambulance, that is also non-verbal. It has no language, yet it communicates to us that there is an emergency. The fire alarm, it is music, it is non-verbal, it is not word. But yet the sound has now become the emblem that something is wrong, there is a fire somewhere and we need to take action. The traffic signals, they teach us something. They are messages used regularly and abundantly all over the world. So with this, I will now mention a few references, and obviously the images that I have taken courtesy the images from Google. And I want to thank each and every one of you for sparing your time and the precious time for my lecture, and giving me the honor of being with you today. And I'm hopeful that these non-verbal elements that we have discussed just now will be become a part and integral part of our communication skills, and we will use them in harmony with our languages, our writing style. For example, while writing, the handwriting is a non-verbal element. So writing, we might know words, but if the handwriting isn't clear and it is not readable, then we will say that we need to improve upon that. Similarly, when we are speaking and we are halting too much, and if we are waiting and stammering and not able to say, then that lack is also a part of our our non-verbal element. So verbal and non-verbal, they cannot be disintegrated, they go together. And whereas all communications in colleges and schools, we talk about a lot about language, about vocabulary, about everything, but we also need to focus on these non-verbal elements, and take our verbal journey um, along with these non-verbal elements. Use the vehicle of non-verbal elements, and life will surely be more communicative and more fruitful. So with this, I will end my lecture, and I wait for your response or any queries that you may have. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, madam, for your wonderful lecture.
Thank you so much.
If anyone is interested to ask questions, you are welcome.
So.
And shall we call it today in case they have no doubts? Dr. Ramalakshmi madam to give vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. And a very good evening to one and all. It's my immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks for this inter-university webinar on non-verbal communication and its role in effective communication. First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. T. Janakiram Garu, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. YSR Horticulture University, for your kind support, motivation, and approval for organizing this webinar. Thank you very much, sir. I also extend my thanks to Dr. A.S. Padmavatham Garu, Dean of Horticulture, Dr. YSR Horticulture University, for extending your support and timely suggestions for successfully organizing this program, madam. Thank you very much. And also a special thanks to the university officers, Dr. B. Srinivasulu Garu, Registrar, Dr. Surya Kumari Garu, Dean of PG Studies, Dr. Dhananjay Rao Garu, Director of Industrial and International Programs, Dr. Salome Sunita Garu, Dean of Student Affairs, for sparing your valuable time for attending this program. Also, I immensely thank Dr. Gopal Garu, Associate Dean, College of Horticulture, Anantarajapeta, for his constant guidance and mentoring for organizing this webinar. Thank you very much, sir. I also thank the heads of all colleges, KVKs, HRS, polytechnics for their active participation and involving the students to participate in this great event. I am very grateful to Dr. Alka Jain, Assistant Professor, Rani Lakshmi Bai, Central Agriculture University, for accepting our invitation and spending your valuable time in delivering this session. From this webinar, we hope that all the participants, especially the students, will improve their non-verbal communication in their day-to-day activities. Moreover, kinesics, haptics, speech rate, proxemics is of greater importance as our university students has to work with the farmers in the near future. And also the categories of time is of utmost importance for efficient time management. Hope your lecture will be definitely useful for our students, madam. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation once again. I also thank all the faculty members of College of Horticulture, Anantarajapeta, and all the colleges of under university for sparing their time to participate in this program. I especially thank the non-teaching staff, Sri Ayappa Garu, JSCT, Venkatramanagudam, and Sri Nagendra, College of Horticulture, Anantarajapeta, for their constant support and communication in organizing this program. I also extend my thanks to all the non-teaching staff and students of Dr. YSR Horticulture University for their support and participation in the webinar and making this program a grand success. Thank you one and all.
Thank you so much, dear ma'am, Dr. Ramilakshmi ma'am.
Thank you.
And I would once again like to take this opportunity to thank all of you, Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, the respected deans, registrars, and the KVK heads, and to all the professors, faculty, and all for giving me this opportunity. And please welcome, we are welcome to our campus, ma'am. Do visit us, and it will be a pleasure hosting you here at our university. So this was a great opportunity, and I will always remember it with joy, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you all for having participated in this wonderful lecture. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Alkaji, for
Thank
that excellent, nice presentation. And we look forward more collaborative, such kind of activities, and convey my regards, respects to your Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. A.K. Singh Saab. I will also write a letter to him and your Director Research for, deputing your, presence in this talk.
Yes.
Thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much,
All the
sir.
best.
So please do visit. Yes. Thank you, sir.